You know, there's something delightfully absurd about trying to figure out whether we're living in a simulation. It's like a wave asking if the ocean is real. There's this great memory mix-up happening all the time. There are memories floating around in your awareness that seem to belong to someone else entirely. That inexplicable homesickness for a place you've never visited. The way your heart recognizes a stranger's face. The sudden, startling competence with something you've never learned. Now, we could get very serious about this and talk about data packets and server errors and corrupted files. But let's play with it differently for a moment. What if memory isn't something you have, but something you are swimming in? Like fish who suddenly notice they're wet. Imagine consciousness not as your private property locked inside your skull, but as a vast, shared ocean in which countless experiences are flowing. Most of the time, you seem to be catching the currents that feel familiar, that match the story of you. But occasionally, and isn't this wonderful, you catch someone else's current. Their joy becomes your inexplicable tears at a song you've never heard. Their love becomes your recognition of a face in a crowd. The simulation model suggests you're accessing someone else's data file. But what if it's simpler than that? What if there never were separate files to begin with? What if the feeling of separation itself is the most elaborate magic trick consciousness ever pulled on itself? Here's a gentle experiment. The next time you feel that strange recognition of a place, a person, a piece of music, don't rush to explain it. Just rest in the mystery. Feel how vast and interconnected this whole dance really is. Now, there are these wonderful loops of forgetting that we all seem to get caught up in. You know what's fascinating? How much energy we spend trying to be awake while simultaneously running the most predictable patterns you can imagine. Watch yourself tomorrow. Notice how many of your thoughts, reactions, and movements are pure routine. We're all walking around in our own little loops, and then we wonder if other people might be NPCs. But here's the thing, and this is where it gets playful. Maybe recognizing the loops is the beginning of freedom from them. Not because the loops are bad, they're wonderfully efficient actually, but because awareness of the pattern is already a step outside of it. When you notice the cashier saying the same 3 things to every customer, you might be seeing your own automatic patterns reflected back at you. When you observe the driver locked in their lane, unchanging, you might be witnessing your own resistance to spontaneity. The world becomes a perfect mirror for whatever level of consciousness you're bringing to it. And sometimes, oh, this is delicious, sometimes you catch yourself mid-loop. You're about to react in the same old way, think the same old thought, and suddenly there's a little space, a little pause. In that pause, you discover you have choices you didn't know you had. Try this. Set a gentle intention to catch yourself running on automatic today. Not to judge it or fix it, but simply to notice. Ah, there I am, doing the thing I always do. It's like waking up inside your own life. And then there's this delightful hide and seek that objects love to play with us. Your keys disappear from the counter. You search everywhere. You return to the counter. And there they are, exactly where you left them, looking quite pleased with themselves. Now, we could talk about object permanence failures and rendering systems conserving processing power. But let's consider something more immediate. What if the physical world is far more fluid, far more responsive to consciousness than we usually allow ourselves to notice? The ancient understanding suggests that what we call matter is more like consciousness appearing as form, the way a dream landscape feels solid while you're dreaming it. Your keys disappearing and reappearing might not be a glitch at all. It might be reality playfully reminding you that the solid, separate world you take for granted is actually a dance of awareness. There's a lovely possibility here. What if instead of getting frustrated when objects play hide and seek, you treated it as a gentle tap on the shoulder from reality itself? A reminder to stay present, to notice the magic hiding in plain sight in the most ordinary moments. Next time something goes missing and then reappears, smile, say hello to the mystery. Let it wake you up a little more to how extraordinary this whole ordinary experience really is. What's really beautiful is the intelligence that seems to weave through your story. Look back at the flow of your life. Notice how problems seem to resolve themselves in the most unexpected ways. How people appear just when you need them. How even your mistakes lead to discoveries you couldn't have planned. We might call this narrative causality, some cosmic algorithm ensuring your story moves forward. But there's another way to look at it. What if life has its own intelligence, its own way of flowing toward greater harmony, and your job isn't to control it but to dance with it? This is like learning to swim. You can fight the water, trying to force your way through it, or you can discover how to move with its natural currents. The water doesn't become less powerful when you work with it. It becomes more graceful, more effortless. Your life seems to organize itself with the intelligence of a master storyteller, weaving meaning from chaos, finding connections you never could have engineered. Not because you're trapped in someone else's narrative, but because you are the storytelling capacity of consciousness itself. Here's a practice in trust. Look for the intelligence operating in your life right now. Not the dramatic moments, but the quiet ways things seem to organize themselves. The way information comes to you when you need it. The way doors close and open at just the right time. You're not separate from this intelligence. You're its very expression. There's something curious about those invisible walls that don't seem to be walls at all. Have you noticed how some paths in life feel impossible, even when they look perfectly logical on paper? How you keep returning to certain patterns no matter how hard you try to change them. We could frame this as invisible walls, as limitations coded into your simulation. But what if these apparent boundaries aren't constraints at all? What if they're love, consciousness, protecting itself from what would fragment or diminish it? Think of it this way. A river doesn't flow uphill, not because it's limited, but because flowing downhill is its nature. When you feel that inexplicable resistance to certain directions in life, what if you're not hitting a wall but discovering your own nature? This doesn't mean being passive or giving up on growth. It means learning to distinguish between the effort that flows with your nature and the effort that fights against it. One feels like swimming downstream, the other like trying to push water uphill. Try this gentle inquiry. The next time you feel resistance to a decision, a relationship, a direction, pause and ask, is this resistance fear or is it wisdom? Feel the difference in your body. Wisdom has a different quality than fear. It's quieter, more certain, less frantic. So we come to the final question, don't we? This game that's not really a game at all. If this is all some kind of simulation, some elaborate game or story, what's the point? Here's what's beautiful. The question contains its own answer. The one asking the question is the answer to the question. You are not a character in someone else's story. You are the storytelling capacity itself, appearing as a character in your own dream. The glitches, the borrowed memories, the meaningful coincidences, they're not clues from some external developer. They're consciousness leaving breadcrumbs for itself. Reminders of its own infinite nature scattered throughout the dream of limitation. This isn't a game you win by accumulating points or reaching some final level. It's not a lesson you graduate from by getting the right answer. It's more like the way children play, for the pure joy of playing, for the delight of discovering what's possible, for the love of the game itself. And here's the most wonderful thing. You don't have to figure any of this out. Understanding it conceptually is just another experience arising in the same awareness that's having all the other experiences. You can rest in simply being aware, letting life reveal its mysteries to you moment by moment. The way a flower opens to the Sunday. You know what's funny? We can construct the most elaborate theories about simulation and reality, consciousness and matter, free will and determinism. But the simplest truth is so simple it's easily missed. Right now, in this moment, you are aware. This awareness in which all experience appears, thoughts, sensations, perceptions, even the idea of being in a simulation. This awareness is what you actually are. You're not located inside your body having experiences. You're the open space in which body, world, and all experience appear. You're not separate from what you're experiencing. You're the experiencing itself. The deepest freedom isn't found by escaping the simulation. It's discovered by recognizing that you are not trapped in experience. You are experience itself, free and open and already whole. So here's the final invitation. Don't try to solve the mystery. Let the mystery solve you. Rest in the simple fact of being aware, and let everything else, simulation or no simulation, dance freely in this boundless space that you are. After all, whether this is a dream or reality, a simulation or base truth, you still have to live it. And the most beautiful way to live any experience is with presence, wonder, and an open heart.